I want to be somewhat useful here. I don't just want to be like a pretty face that's just, here to
You're always useful.
take advantage of this beautiful equipment we have.
You're always useful, especially when we're talking about talking.
Talking?
Especially when we're conversing about conversing.
I feel like we've hit the next generation, to coin a phrase, of technology that we have now with these beautiful cameras.
Yeah, we have.
Beautiful sound. I mean, everything is now at this like super high-end level, and I just couldn't be more happy. Don't you dare close your eyes.
I will sing even though these cameras don't help my singing ability.
It makes you beautiful, but it does not help your singing voice.
No, not at all.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? Episode 28 here. Got 28 episodes in. Is this correct?
20 in the can, I think. 20. It's not 30, because 30 is going to be an extreme spectacular of a show.
30 is going to be the extreme spectacular. 28 is the...
Celebrity guests, full frontal nudity.
Yeah, 28 is the hype episode for 30. We're just going to talk about what 30 is going to be this entire time.
And then we'll skip 29, we'll pretend nothing's happening, and then 30 will just be this blowout of an episode.
Much like when you start discussing your plans for like your 30th birthday party when you turn 28. When I'm 30, I'm going to have the biggest like bar party. There's this place, McGulliver's down the street, actually. It's a pub. They got room for 80. My bro Brian there said we could do like 100 if no one's being a dick. It's like, all right.
We could do 80. Oh my! I don't know 80. I don't have 80 bros to invite, right? Like I just don't. Like,
yeah, this person doesn't exist. Brian doesn't exist. I just want this. I want this person to exist. I'm trying to make this up.
Brian exists, okay? I'm telling you, that guy exists. He's real. He's a real person living in the city of Chicago somewhere. Yeah, absolutely.
Brian, my guy.
You're gonna be 30?
I'm 31.
30, yeah, you
I'm
just
31.
31.
No.
I was like, yeah, you're 31.
You missed my great 30th
I
birthday
did. That was
party.
it. I was gonna say.
I had a live band karaoke party for my 30th birthday.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed.
When when the podcast turns 30.
We'll do another giant one. No, I honestly, that is a big regret party that I miss. I wish that party was...
it's not fair to you because you were like working.
I was working, and it sucks.
But your whole family was there.
Yeah.
Your brother was like ripping it on electric guitar with
fucking
me.
Jamming.
Like,
it was like a big thing.
Time.
And the thing was, it was inventory. And so like, it was
Whole
like,
Foods.
yeah, I could not go, fuck Whole Foods, man.
You working inventory, do you feel like that changed the way you thought about inventory in your life? Like when you're an inventory person, when you have to look at spreadsheets, when you look at consumption over a long period of time, did it make you like change your budget or the way that you inventoried or consumed your life?
Yeah, for a while it did. Man, it's a whole thing. But yeah, no, we still got
like 57 minutes, I think.
So I can't really get into it. I definitely learned a lot of things. Nobody taught me how to do it when I was there. There's like practices and procedures that were in place. But long story short, my like direct manager who was doing the inventory like left, and then I kind of got saddled with it with no training whatsoever. So literally
this is like when you're like you have a parent and then all of a sudden you're in charge of your own life,
and you're in charge of your own,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh shit, my supervisor's gone,
and you're responsible for it, and you don't really
turn 30,
paid more, and it was just right. You turned 30. Yeah, so no, but it definitely changed a lot of things in my, like, how I did my job and, like, learning how to do it and being confident in things. But even the thing was I never got fully trained. So there would be things that would happen and I wouldn't quite understand the whys. Like, oh, there's this, like, increase of this some X amount, but, like, we've counted everything correctly, and, like, I wish I had a bit more, somebody who was like above me that had more experience than I did, because I kind of got thrown into the situation.
Sure. And especially at a confusing store like Whole Foods, you need probably an elder to be like, this is the time of year the lavender soap comes in.
Well, that's the thing, and then you have to make that's for the bakery that I worked in, you'd have a lot of seasonal stuff. So like, okay, so your inventory for this month of January is crazy high because you have a lot of stuff coming in for Valentine's Day the 2 weeks before. So it's huge, incredibly high. So then the next month in February, your inventory drops dramatically, and then you have to explain why,
I've heard that Whole Foods is a gourmet food store masquerading as a health food store. Do you think this ties into the whole seasonal nature, how they had to have like pumpkin bread in October and gingerbread in December?
I think that they are definitely...
Valentine fuck bread in February.
They're like the Starbucks of, they definitely like to have a... a highfalutin kind of like, they like that. They like having an elitist feel to them.
It's a brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like
and their brand is healthy. Like, you know, it doesn't have additives, but it is also expensive gourmet, right? Organic, right?
Yeah.
It is. You're buying healthy products, but you're paying a premium for the healthy products, I guess, right?
I don't know. If we're getting marked up, we're getting screwed. I
Yeah,
couldn't tell you.
no.
I don't do inventory for them. I couldn't tell you.
You do, absolutely. they screw you on so many things, and their cost of things.
Matt, are you telling me this for-profit entity, Amazon.com, is looking to make a profit on the American consumer?
I don't mean to burst your bubble, but yes, Jeff Bezos likes making money.
First off, bubbles don't burst in my economic world, okay? They just grow and grow and grow forever, and they never explode.
So they're like the universe.
Also, we're getting insane lightning bugs.
I see them. I've been watching them.
Right by me. We're going to have like the whole night. We're going to have them on
Speaking of lightning bugs, I got a little red light blinking at me over there, and I don't remember.
Thing.
That's all right?
That's a good thing.
Okay.
The red light means
recording.
Do interesting shit. Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. Wave, right.
I just make sure. I don't remember seeing it on the last time around. I wasn't looking at it, but now I'm seeing like, oh shit, are we even recording this beautiful monologue about Whole Foods I'm having?
Okay, Matt helped me set up a little tonight, so he's just like, hey boss, we got to talk about the red light. The red light. We got the red light on here.
I'm nervous. I don't want to fuck this beautiful production up, especially with these fireflies.
No, that's beautiful actually. Yeah, we're recording right near the summer solstice, 2020. So we're going to have a nice, long day. This is really as long as a day gets. Have you found your patterns of behavior changing since we have like a million hours of light now?
Yeah, my daughter doesn't like going to sleep. Dad, it's still light outside, so it's not bedtime. Baby, it's 7:30. You need to be in bed. You know,
7:30.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
So it's like an hour and a half of when it's still light.
I know, but she's got to go to bed. She wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, she's up.
Kids got to sleep, 100%.
She's up at the butt crack of dawn. You know, driving us nuts. So yeah.
I found myself staying up later. I think just because of like I don't want to use air conditioning and because it's like cooler at night. Like I found like not needing sun as much because sun is so prevalent, and I already get a lot of free outdoor time in the sun.
Yeah.
So I can choose. I can have 2 hours in the sun here, there, wherever. So to me, it's been a little bit easier to actually like stay up at night.
Yeah.
You know, have windows open, have the air coming in. Versus being up during the day, it's harder.
Summer nights, man. There's summer nights in Chicago. It's like it's a big reason why I love this place. You know what I mean? Like even forever. You know, it's just summer nights in Chicago. There is something special about that, and I you know, that's one of those things you can't export that. You can't, you know, that's just.
No, luckily you can film it though and put it on a podcast. Summer nights in Chicago.
I guess we have a name for this. I guess we have a name for this.
How could you tell where I was going with that? Yeah, how could you tell?
That look in your eye, that twinkle in your eye. Ooh.
James either is hungry or he is found a title.
I was trying to go with the next generation early on, but I did it too early, and you know, Summer Nights in Chicago won. All right.
Well, after that one, it's getting dicey. Now you know you can stake a claim to the title.
I know, I think about it.
It's like a game.
Think of something clever.
Try to make it. Try to get on there.
Yeah.
Been loving the extra light though. Really been nice. Not just for staying up all night like I've been doing.
Yeah.
Enjoying. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Lightning bug right.
You're just gonna land on your shoulder.
We're just gonna turn this into like a bug podcast. We're gonna talk about lightning bugs the entire time.
Come on up, bud.
Right there. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Did you ever catch lightning bugs in a jar?
Yeah.
Do that whole thing?
Yeah, I did. And then I was a monster that would like throw them on the ground and like scrape your foot so that you could see all the phosphorus scrape across the ground. Because I'm a monster.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can be a monster.
Yeah, yeah. And you just slam them on the ground, so then they're like dazed, and then just smash, and then it's just like this lightning streak across the ground for a second.
Jesus. Do you do this daily now at 6:45
Nope,
before you put your kid to bed at 7:30?
Haven't done it in years, but now kind of regretting I said it. I believe in the last podcast I said, I think I'm a good guy, and then immediately within 5 minutes, I'm like, I kill lightning bugs for fun.
Hey, no. You're talking about some of those precious moments, though, when you're young and you're kind of like learning where the line is. I remember when I was young enough to understand, like, my individual role in society versus society. Like, I was just at the grocery store. I had put, like, candies I saw in my pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Went home. I was eating, like, the candies, caramels. My mom's like, where'd you get those? Like, the store. She's like, did you just take those? Like, you put them in your pocket? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, you have to pay for those. Like, come on. And I was 13, so I was upset about it. No, I'm kidding. I was older than you'd think. No, but you have these moments. You mentioned the phosphorus on your foot. But I had my candy moment when I was a few years old, being like, oh, this phosphorus was meant for something else. Or oh,
Yeah.
this bug feels pain, or this store feels
Oh, yeah, this-
revenue loss.
Revenue loss. Fuck revenue loss for a fucking giant company, first of all. Yes, but you feel bad about things. I remember the first thing I stole, first and last thing I stole. Well, there's another. I stole one other thing, but it was purely on accident. But I stole when I was like 6. It was an Ace Hardware that I live by. I still live in the same neighborhood, so I remember it. I went in and they had like these Barney erasers. Loved Barney, and it was like a thing that you'd put on the top of your pencil, right?
Which back then, that's a rubber-based peacock feather.
Yeah, you totally. It was so cool. I had it in the thing. So I was like, "Hey, can I get this? Can I get this?" You know, like typical kid. And she's like, "No, we're just here for whatever plumbing thing. I don't know, or something silly." And she's like, "Can I get it? Get in?" No. So she turns around and I'm just like, "Well, who says I can't just stick this in my pocket?" Well, my mother says I can't stick it in my pocket. She found out and she made me go back and do the whole thing where you don't steal and go say you're sorry and, you know, feel a little bit of that shame for stealing, which was, I thought, it was a good thing. It was a good thing for me because I felt bad. I felt like, oh shit, I stole, you know, and like having to go back and tell the person that you stole this thing, especially again, being at a young age, like 6 or 7, you know, and like learning that and being like, oh man, that didn't make me feel good. I did a bad thing, you know, instilling this foundational morality we're talking about.
Yeah, it's funny because at first you're like, oh, you know, fuck the big retail outfit, right? Like screw the multinational corporation, whatever. But you had to apologize to an individual.
It's true. No, absolutely.
You like personified it or personalized it.
And it was less about getting the money and more about doing a bad thing, right? Like, you know,
it's kind of fucked up when you steal in that way because you're putting like the checkout person in a tough spot. They see you. You're putting maybe the security guard at the door in a tough spot to be like, oh, I mean, obviously stealing is wrong. I don't this, you know, bare minimum in this conversation.
Yeah.
But taking it beyond that, the people that actually have to come to terms with it, maybe the people whose jobs might be on the line, the hourly employees whose jobs might be on the line, that's where it's like really tragic. Those like people you make feel extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
I used to work with a bunch of people who like went to become security guards, and I know there are certain people that just go into stores and cause so much trouble, you know, for just like everyone involved, even when they're obviously stealing or obviously pretending like they're not trying to steal. Like it just wreaks havoc. You know?
It's an interesting Kyle he's does asset protection for Target, and he tells me stories about the people and things people do when they try to get away with and all that kind of stuff, and it's
a shame. I've
he
had friends who did
weird.
a similar thing at Sears, and you know, other,
he's definitely been in situations that's weird. When I worked at Whole Foods and I'd see people steal at Whole Foods, which is different from Target, because people at Whole Foods, sometimes people would steal like
quinoa.
Yeah, stupid stuff.
For real?
Yeah, $100 Manuka honey.
Okay, that's at least monetary.
So I was involved.
I think Manuka honey's stupid, but
I was a material witness involved.
At least a joke.
In yeah. I mean, you know, Manuka honey is.
You were a material witness at Whole Foods.
So I was a material witness in a theft. There was actually it was like a gang.
Was it the raw pure resin honey, or was it the Arabica Manuka?
87% pure Manuka honey. It was a protein powders. So he was basically stealing. Yeah, no explode. Way. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. No, absolutely. He was stealing like the giant bottles of whey protein that were going for like, you know, $150.
You know, the hemp whey is actually very expensive. I've only had like whey concentrate from milk, but
so
that
it's like,
Whole Foods whey, that will get expensive.
But it's interesting because like in like electronic stores, the $150 items are behind glass, or you know, you have to get Whole Foods. They're just on a shelf. So this guy would go to multiple different ones.
The Manuka honey's not behind glass. It's on like hemp paper.
Yeah,
it's on like canvas.
It's right there for you to just put in your pocket. One of my store managers one time told me, he goes, "You could literally steal one item from here every day for years, and you'd never get caught." And I was like, interesting. Like
he was saying, just because the ship could hold so much water.
Yeah, more like it's just not gonna. Yeah, nobody's gonna notice. But this situation, they were stealing massive amounts of like protein and sports stuff from the whole body department, and they were hitting multiple different Whole Foods. So one night, a guy came in with a bag, and he walked in a really kind of obviously suspicious way. I guess
he was there to steal protein powder, but you could tell he hasn't been doing leg day, so he had skinny legs, walking odd.
Skinny fucking guy, right? Obviously a thief.
He's not using this protein powder. He's just selling it. Look at the way this guy walks. I mean,
He just walked like, it was just like he walked around the flower department, which was very suspicious, I thought. Well, not really suspicious, it just was weird, right? This guy's being weird. So then
Bezos was probably able to leverage some of that software he bought when he was having that affair.
Facial recognition stuff.
Yeah, he has like private investigator on the matter.
So this guy, so I saw him, so it was like a 2-minute thing. So all of a sudden it was towards where we were closing. So he walked in, he had a bag under his arm, and then I remember looking, and then he walked back out the same way, and the bag was full, and he went out the same door, and I went, I think that guy just stole something. So then it turns out like he was part of a whole racket that had like an eBay account, and they had been after this guy for a long time, but I was the first person to actually like see his face. So then I had to like pick him out of a lineup. And, the cops came with a computer, and they had, here's a lineup. I want you to pick out the person.
The lineup is just like the 6 thumbnails from eBay.
Yeah, right.
Was it this seller? Was it this seller? 99% feedback.
But he'd actually been charged with other things. Like he had a rap sheet, so they had a mugshot for him. And I was super nervous, like when we start a podcast. Am I going to be able to talk for an hour? Am I going to be able to remember and identify the guy? Because they were like, did you remember? I was like, I think so. But of course, just like the podcast, nailed it right off the bat. Just boom, got him right away. And I guess he went to jail. He was a rich kid too. He was like a filthy rich kid. His I guess his father was like didn't want to bail him out this time. I guess
like a Winona Ryder
like
stealing for kicks type
three strike thing. But he was making filthy money off of it too. Like he was making money off of it. So that was why they were really upset about it, because there's just it wasn't just like I stole a couple of things.
I had some friends I knew some people that were involved in like unsavory shit like that in high school, and it's shitty. Even if like you can find a place to play, in economics to play some middleman role or to steal from a company, it's so fucking wrong. Anytime you're trying to stunt or walk around with that money too, it's just, I don't know how you feel right knowing that you just had to like rip someone else off. The thing I mentioned people in high school, what they were doing is back at like Dick's Sporting Goods, they would like switch the labels on like baseball bats.
Gotcha.
They take like a $250 baseball bat and switch the label like a $30 one.
Dink. And it's
buy
not like
$30 one and then sell the $200 one online.
And again, going back to the cashier doesn't always know the difference, right? They don't know like the.
Or it does, and then is in this uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, well, hey, I think this is the wrong price.
Thinking if I didn't just steal whey protein, I'd be so pissed at you right now. It's crazy.
Man, thievery. I one more time. These fireflies are just outrageously cool right now.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm really glad we got the whole yard cam on so you can actually see what's happening. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm the only thing I'm worried about is we're not going to talk. I'm just going to be like, looking at the ladybugs.
I know. I was like mid-conversation. I was like, whoa.
They just showed up yesterday. We couldn't be recording one entering into night at a better time. It's the solstice right now. The lightning bugs, not ladybugs, just showed up.
Wow.
In case anyone has been audio only on this podcast at this point, Matt's holding them in his hand.
Just catching one, right? There you go.
Phosphorus still seems to be inside the insect.
Should I crush one in my hand and smash and show you? I won't do that.
Kept things safe enough so far. No, it's a beautiful night. It's a beautiful night.
Let's do some inventory on these bugs. Let's count all these bugs out. No, I'm just kidding.
You want to do thoraxes first or wings, or how do you do it?
How do you count? Yeah, how do you count the body segments? Back to some of this stuff.
I'll do weight. I'll do bugs by weight because I don't want to count the bodies, but I'll like weigh the bodies.
Interesting.
I've heard there's more bugs on Earth adding together the weight than there are animals.
I believe it. Like, think about it. It's like,
by
man,
a factor of a couple. By
really?
A factor of 2 or something. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, think about what we don't see.
More
like
made-up podcast facts
underground.
from James Smith Gratton coming at you.
Drink. Yeah. That's. I mean, think about like all the things underground. There's so many bugs underground. How many trillions of ants? How many trillion? And you think about animals. They're fucking going at a pretty fast rate. So. There's even less animals in the world. And think about all the, a billion animals that just died in Australia in January and over the wildfires.
Was it?
Something like a billion animals. Something crazy like that died from those wildfires.
I was going to make a joke about exoskeleton-based coitus occurring in the ground below us, but now it seems poor.
No, that's tasteless.
Seems in poor taste. Talking about the Australian wildfire.
So many underground bug fucking down there.
Under Earth's crust, bug banging.
I think that might be the title of the episode.
What? We can just keep trying to develop either new titles or new podcast ideas throughout this whole thing. Right.
This is a really Summer Nights in Chicago. What do you guys do? We talk about making new podcast ideas. Bugs doing it.
Lightning bugs
doing it. Inventory practices, and being grown up enough not to want to steal anymore.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that you got to get out of that phase. And you can't get into like I mentioned Winona Ryder as a joke. You can't get into an adult phase where you're like trying to assert power in your life, and you're like, I'm gonna steal from this place. I'm gonna steal a salt shaker from Chipotle.
You want to know a thing that people might not believe?
I'm gonna steal a hot sauce bottle.
The
from Chipotle.
majority of thieves are in fact are women.
Really?
It's not like a
Did
oh,
Kyle
he's being
tell you
sexist.
this? Did
Yes.
Whole Foods tell you this, or
Well,
is this a made-up podcast fact?
No. Well, I mean, it's anecdotal at best. But Kyle has mentioned it, and then also I would talk to the security people at Whole Foods. They called them Service 90. They were like the plain clothes officers that we had, which eventually we ditched because they were expensive, and Amazon took over and didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, Bezos has the private investigators.
Well, they have the cameras, the facial rocket watching you every day. But yeah, they would come in and they'd be like, yeah, we most of the time it's mostly like females that do it for some reason. Like they're more prone to like shoplifting, like stupid things, But yeah, it's crazy.
Get into how that is, why that is, whatever.
Right, but we said Winona Ryder and people making bad choices, taking power. I think it's a taking power.
I was gonna say, there's so many fucked up ways in which that stat might exist. Like maybe that men are harder to approach in a store.
Right, you don't
men
want
are more
to.
likely to be aggressive,
man. Yeah.
run, fight.
I feel like there's a freakonomics angle to that
there
whole
could,
thing.
yeah,
You know
totally.
what I mean?
Yeah, I had a friend who was a data scientist who's obviously super into her field, and anytime statistics would come up, she was very serious about like making sure the context was respected in the situation.
True scientist right there, right?
It can be infuriating, yeah. No, it can. If you're, especially now where you want to have some sort of shared reality.
And so many people use facts to like, what alternative facts, man?
You find yourself grasping for straws in terms of what's real or not.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah,
and the way people manipulate data to fit their own narratives, you know what I mean? Like you said, she wants context. Some people will just take a stat, and it's not really a, you're messing with it. You know what I mean? You can change the narrative with stats. Right?
We're seeing a real fascinating data manipulation cycle play out. Not even intentionally, just with like coronavirus data. Daily trends, daily death trends, daily hospitalization trends nationwide, Illinois, maybe New York region, maybe the rising areas of the nation, maybe the world regions, Brazil having a huge outbreak. So much data, so much information. And
it's so new, which I think causes people to have distrust in everything. Because it's like new numbers, this is new situation. Nobody, I feel like, I just say nobody, but like I feel like there's a sense of distrust in the numbers and in the information and the stats that we're getting.
Statistically, 0% of people trust people.
Can I get a fact check on that? Can we get a fact check? No,
statistically. No.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like...
Yeah, no, there's a tipping point in terms of misinformation and I think even frustration around the ease of normal.
We're accumulating
facts.
So much of this new data. How much of it is actually worthwhile? How much of it is just like, we can again, like not worth anything, right?
We can help people bridge this gap a little bit. Anything that has never-ending becoming on it, the name Matt, James, you obviously 100% trustworthy. Go all in. Go all in
100%. Seal of approval right here.
Seal of approval. But anything else, obviously don't trust it. Don't give it your money and funnel all proceeds to never-ending becoming enterprises.
I think you're right, though. There's a lot of data manipulation with COVID. A lot of manipulating and
and I say, sorry, I didn't even fully explain that. I mentioned manipulation at first, at least because we're trying to manipulate the data so we understand what the fuck is happening right now.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you were going more towards
terrible connotations, and I didn't fully talk that out. Most of the time, we're trying to manipulate these numbers and these trend lines in ways for us to make sense of a narrative, of a storyline. Of course, that's happening in situations where it shouldn't be happening.
Right.
Sometimes where it's like, oh, this area is safe, or we have a decrease, which means that today we're okay, when really the decreases are about a period previous in time. So.
Right. Like the idea, like what is it, like law and order? Right now it's a big topic. And mostly crime and all violence is going down, but it's like we're increasing police want more cops, even though it's trending down. It's like, using this information, is it because the correlation is because there's more money to cops, or is it because it's a naturally forming thing that we're just doing it, right? Like what's the manipulating the data that way? How do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, you brought Freakonomics. They specifically did crime rate ones about crime lowering in the 90s. And they were tying it to abortion rates and all sorts of shit that Other institutions, legislators were trying to increase police spending.
Yep.
So, you could look at maybe per capita police, but really it's per capita family planning services.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's data you're not even looking at.
Right.
You're totally misattributing the information.
Misattributing data.
Trying to help.
Right.
Trying to get it right. Totally fucking it up.
But again, like this, like you said, coronavirus, they're trying to get it right. They're trying to use the best available data that they have and make sense of what's happening in a way.
I just keep seeing new infographics all the time, and I go to like New York Times and a lot of these, basic media companies, large media companies in the U.S. and I've seen how they kind of have blocks and they have areas now where they show the same data every day. They have some stability. They're showing trend lines, whatever.
Well, people want to see trend lines, especially right now, right? They want to see the where it's going, right?
I know, but I'm going to the New York Times to look at Chicago's trend line or Illinois. It's kind of funny. So I brought up
I did hear Illinois has the fastest decreases in the country right now.
Does it?
That's what I heard yesterday. I saw something, or it's decreasing the lowest right now. It's like looking the best, like the numbers are the best.
Decreasing the fastest. This is like the acceleration versus speed thing in physics. Like acceleration is about
and now we're going back down.
The down.
Well,
the ramping down.
They're saying a lot of it has to do with like Illinois was one of the places that was like, let's lock down right away. Let's stay locked down. Pritzker and Lightfoot were very adamant about the lockdown. They took it seriously. They weren't really wishy-washy about it like some places.
Lightfoot was in ads. It, showing people.
The information I got was from the Where Is Lightfoot Instagram account because they posted it, and I watched her videos that she was posting. Yeah, and actually I think this whole situation, I found her more endearing after this whole situation. I felt like she was like, a cool aunt that was taking care of us. I know that sounds like silly, but I felt like nurtured by her, where I have not felt like that way for like a mayor in a long time. I felt like she genuinely gave a shit about what's happening in Chicago.
Me too. That's what happens in times of crisis. You have the ability to earn people's trust. I mean, look at the obvious example to me is, especially as it relates to the current climate, is Rudy Giuliani after 9/11 and the way New York embraced him as a mayor.
Look at how much,
which has now been used as political cover. 10 years later with his other, 20 years later.
I think he's exhausted that America's mayor shit to death now.
But Lightfoot, I think has looked well in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
Some people I talk to.
Hey man, I like somebody who doesn't take them enough seriously. She allowed herself to become a meme, and then didn't like hate it. She like went with it. She's like, yes, if this will make you guys stay inside, let's roll with this. And I think that takes a different kind of person to be able to think on that level, right? That can be able to be like, whatever works for people, I am on board with that, right?
Sometimes you just got to be willing to be in on the joke.
Yep. Absolutely.
And to understand that if a certain message can be conveyed, even if it's not in your original exact terms, the message is still cool.
The message is what's important, right?
Yeah. No, I've been happy with Lightfoot, JB, at least in their rhetoric. The way they talk about the situation.
Yeah.
Long term, we'll have to see what happens with the economic elements. Because we have had a longer shutdown than other parts of the country.
Absolutely.
And I want Illinois and Chicago to stay competitive, whatnot, because a lot of businesses have in the past picked up and left the state, and I don't want that to continue happening.
Nope.
But I do love at least that we're being validated and having lower COVID deaths.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then
something's got to come from it.
A lot of some states right now, you're seeing increases in numbers, not decreases in numbers. A lot of those places, didn't exactly want to follow the rules. I'm really curious.
I have a buddy who went to Austin, who's in Austin right now, and it's one of the top 5 cities.
I was just gonna say, isn't that one of the hot spots right now? It's like
I don't know if he knew before he went. He said he went to visit some law school friends. Obviously, he can get away with it health-wise, whatever, in terms of his quarantine. But
some states just were like, we're not gonna shut down. We can't close our businesses, and it's like
Austin or Texas just closed like for a really short amount of time, right? It was just like a month.
I think it was short. I can't remember. Some states I can't remember. I know some states didn't, like Florida didn't really want to close. It's like, we'll close our beaches. Didn't really close their beaches. That kind of stuff.
I know someone who was on Miami Beach when they closed Miami Beach. And then people couldn't get back to like mainland Miami.
That's wild.
Like they were like out
stuck. That seems like a little bit what I mean?
Closing the beach, in the middle of the day or whatever.
Well, we in the last Florida.
At least make the announcement at the nightclub the day before,
Make it
easy for people.
When we went to Florida recently, and like literally that day we left was the day they like shut down the beaches. So we're like, oh, good. But then like a week later, it was like, oh, well, they're not really shut down. Spring break, woo, So I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll see speaking of data manipulation, it's going to be really interesting to see the data from all of these states that didn't close down or didn't close down fully versus states that did, and versus states that were taking a lot of action.
Yeah, they were comparing that 1918 data with like Philadelphia against St. Louis. Obviously, they'll be doing the same now.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's
Chicago and Fort Lauderdale.
That's the thing too. When everyone keeps comparing this to the Spanish flu, it was the second wave that killed everybody, right?
Was it really?
Yeah.
Shit.
The majority of deaths were in the second wave. It wasn't the first. The first wave, it was like I think it was like a couple 100,000, but then in the second wave, it was like the million.
God damn it, because it's scary because it seeds in the population, then it simmers. In the second that virus dish is ready to cook again in the human host, it's off to the races.
And we've already seen this virus is like mutating, so
arguably they're trying to figure that out.
Right? Arguably, I would say, yeah, you're right. But I mean,
just because you could look at the genome on something and be like, look, it's slightly different, but
it's
like in reality, practical measures.
I mean, let's take it back. I did see that there was a common steroid that has been shown to be very effective in late stage COVID patients where they've had
this is the newest news, right?
Yes, like 2
or
3 days
name?
ago. I was telling about it, I forgot it. I really don't remember. I don't remember. They said it was like a common steroid.
Restintriol? What's it called? Restriadol?
Is it? Is that what it's called?
No,
Restriadol? Is that make that shit
just
up?
Fucking around.
I thought it was like a one-word thing.
I'm joking about resveratrol because they were like kissing that thing's ass, which is
Xanax. No,
my opinion, totally fucking bullshit. I bet Xanax would
help
reduce some
somewhat,
psychosomatic elements. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like not all bad, but it's like the way people are handling it now, which is not at all. It seems like for some places,
people just forgotten about it.
Just disengaging completely. We're gonna see how it comes back around, and it's like, ooh, like I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping that this fictional herd immunity that we're all gonna get is gonna actually happen or something. That the
numbers on that are fucking ridiculous though. Like like 2% U.S. 2% of the population has had it that they know of. Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 8. They don't really know. But herd immunity, you need like 60%.
60%, some crazy. I thought it was 60-70%, but yeah,
60-70%.
Right. So but I think that's what they're hoping for. That they're just gonna let it cut through. They're gonna just let it go through the country, right? Let it just run it through and pretend like we don't ignore. Well, just ignore it. But see, it's just so fucked up. We have 115,000 people dead.
It is so fucked up. I know enough to realize that the people staffing those nursing homes and whatnot, you cannot quarantine all of the workers, the environmental service technicians, the janitors, the food service workers, the cooks.
Did we talk about it getting into my grandma's nursing home? I don't
briefly.
And they're still dealing with that. They had,
but it's those continued dips. And even they talk about opening up the NBA. It's one thing to have the whole roster of players, but to have the team photographer, the team color commentator, the team doctor, the team this, the team that. You can have everyone quarantined too, not just the players.
That's why they're doing they're
not contact tracing.
No, they're not.
They're not doing that at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they're going to kind of let it slide.
They would take fastidious attention,
and I think
that's the worst thing for Americans.
WWE, another company that I love to hate to love, but they're not testing anybody, and they've had a couple of cases, and it's some controversy that they were saying they were testing people, but they really weren't testing people, and they had people in the audience. They're trying to have people in the audience, and they're telling the people in the audience not to wear masks. They're bringing in select fans. This was 2 days ago that they sent out a couple of letters to select fans hey, come to see the show, but they wouldn't let them wear masks at the show.
They wouldn't allow them to wear masks?
They said no masks at the show because they don't want people covered on TV. So they said no mask. So somebody got infected, and now it's I heard some people, a particularly favorite wrestler of mine, he's yeah, I'm out because he doesn't want to risk it. Roman Reigns, who's one of the biggest members of the last 10 years, he's not there. He's leukemia, so he's I'm not doing this, so he hasn't been around for the last 6-7 months, but he's kind of taking a stand, and now more people are yo, you guys are being irresponsible.
Saudi Arabian stuff with the WWE, now the coronavirus.
They're a very irresponsible company. They're they're carny. They're a carny company. That's what they are. That's what their history is being con artists.
Vince McMahon, his wife, and their GOP pipe dreams were never that attractive, but now when they're blatantly vice signaling.
Oh man, well,
Vince the Vice Signaler.
I have some conspiracy theories about them and their what's going on with Saudi Arabia, but I'll save those because I don't really have any basis other than gut instinct. But yeah,
we'll circle back to that. I have a strong feeling WWE will come back up on the podcast
today. Yeah,
we'll find ourselves there.
Well, we like to repeat. We like to come back around to things. But like you said, like with the NBA, like I don't think that they're gonna be like we're testing everybody all the time. They'll test everybody once at the beginning, and then that'll be it. And then they'll just be like, well, whatever kind of happens. And then it's
shit. They'll at least test multiple rounds. They'll be testing weekly.
I don't know, man.
Each game.
Because you see one person gets it, and then it's going to be a whole on that team, right? One person on the team gets it. Well, then we have to quarantine the whole team. I
think it's just going to be a question for the actuaries. All right, how much does it cost? Test every person, every place, everything.
They definitely did it.
How much are the liability lawsuits?
Right.
You know,
how much
each
is,
lawsuit, each
what's
city.
our revenue going to be to cover all this? Because that's where they're at.
Just look at the numbers. Okay, it's okay. We 100 million in revenue. Okay.
Data manipulation.
80
Let's look
million
at the data.
with the testing-based expenses. Okay, 20 net. We can do that. I'm getting out of bed for 20 million. Whatever they'll figure out, and then you just hire someone to do the tests, perform the tests. Obviously, litigate the lawsuits that come from your lack of responsibility.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it,
not
though.
even shooting in my motherfucking studio right now,
Right.
so I expect other people to play by those same rules. You know?
It's interesting. There's the money, which is what I think is really driving a lot of the American response to this. It's all money-based. We're really seeing
Luckily,
it.
this podcast makes no money, so I don't have to worry about that.
This is a labor of love.
Luckily, that's not a consideration.
This is a labor of love.
No, but when it does get to just the actuaries, though, it's a little cold.
Absolutely.
It's tough when you're just looking at the numbers.
It's not human lives. It's dollars and cents, man. That's a total different animal, you know?
Yeah. No, and it's good. We are reminded that some of these big institutions and big corporate players do end up doing those calculations time to time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they are crunching the numbers on us. And, you know, we got to remind ourselves to crunch the number on our own lives.
Yeah.
See what you're worth. See what you're doing.
Know your value.
Know your value. Yeah, don't just, take Vince McMahon's blog post and go to a WWE event.
Yeah,
because he needs people in the audience.
Right, but there's fans. It's like a fan. Like it's like you circled back, by the way. I didn't do it. It's just interesting what that company particularly can get away with. I always find because I think they are on the edges of culture, right? Are on the edges of this, sport. It's still very like, it's not taken seriously. They make serious money, and people love the money they make,
right.
But they're still not taken seriously like it's a real, you know what I mean?
And I think I loved it when I was a child. I think that's part of what I loved about it is because it wasn't serious. They had
good versus evil, man. Pretty straightforward shit.
Well, they had like the proxy wars of Sergeant
Slaughter
versus
right?
Hulk Hogan, which was like the Iraq War versus America.
Oh yeah.
The Iraq War perpetuated by America in the early '90s with George Bush Sr. The whole Gulf War complex.
Mm-hmm.
They had those proxies going on
Desert
with wrestlers.
Storm.
They had that shit going on.
They always do. That's a big.
The Generation X. I don't need to tell you, how to do that. How to do the suck it. It's like we timed that out. No, but it speaks to you when you're 10 years old, 12 years old.
Absolutely.
Gold Dust spoke to me when I was 9.
Oh my God.
And I'd make my mom and sister laugh by like wearing their silk robes or
Oh
putting
my
on some
God.
gold silk robe, pretending I'm Gold Dust for them.
Gold Dust. He's great. But see, a guy like Gold Dust also.
But those characters
pushes
couldn't
it
exist.
Forward. No.
Those
not
characters
anymore.
couldn't exist in the late 90s. And I remember having access to enough media at that point in my life being like, I love wrestling because there are all these exaggerated characters that have big personalities that you can't see on like buttoned up late 90s primetime TV.
It was a different era. But that was part of it, right? Raw is war. It was a whole, it was sexy, right? It was like risque, and there were people beating the shit out of each other, and it was
it's fighting, right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
Inherently, I made the joke about Vice signaling. It's inherently that. It's fucking
Absolutely.
theatrical fighting.
It's literally fighting, and it's people who are fighting over like championship belts and money and women, and like they have to have an issue between two people, and like how invested are you in their issue, and like what they're fighting about, and like
Can I ask you if we did a podcast where we actually did like a wrestling match? It was me versus you. Would we do a cage match type where we have to escape the cage, like you have to get out of the hole in the roof? Or would you want to do a ladder match with like the belt on the wire?
I would like to do an unsanctioned street fight where fans bring the weapons, and it's a barbed wire Yeah, no. An exploding barbed wire match. So it's one of those hardcore Japanese
Chicago
death match.
Department of Transportation signs only, please.
Yeah. Boom. I would love to do a ladder match with you, bro. But you're so tall and lanky that you just climb that ladder fast.
Fuck. I was hoping you wouldn't realize that. Yeah.
No, yeah. I would love. I just love the theatricality of it. I won't even lie.
I would doctor like one of those Warner ladders, get a couple of trick buttons on there.
Well, they would do that. They would paint like wooden ladders silver, so that like when they smashed through the metal ladder, it was gimmicked up and you could see where it was split. But sometimes, they get a little dicey. It gets a little dicey, and they grab a real ladder and they still do a move on the real ladder because you're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
But it's predetermined. But when that fucking guy slaps that ladder with his back, there ain't nothing fake about that. He takes that hit.
Beautiful summer night in Chicago.
Listen,
talking about
I love it. Wrestling,
sweaty men wrestling in arenas in the 1990s.
Beating them up. It's a performance, right? I always compare. You'll like this one. I've compared wrestlers and drag queens. They both are performance. It's performance-based things. Both people performing as characters for like entertainment. There's usually like for drag performance, it's like singing and dancing and but they do comedy skits, right? They do a lot of skits and stuff like that. We used to. I'm a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. Love that show.
I should get into drag culture. I used to have coworkers that were super into it, and they would talk about it from time to time.
Just watch a couple seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. Not that that's
I've seen
all
some
drag,
of it.
All drag culture. Drag culture is huge. That's a facet that I've like educated myself on. When I first started watching the show, I was very not into it. I was like, what the fuck is this shit, right? But Randy and Christina would watch it, and I would be on the computer, and I'd hear sometimes, and I'd be like, wow, that's interesting.
First you got two eyes on the monitor, none on the TV screen.
Right. I have one
on the TV screen, then you got
two
both
headphones
eyes.
on, one headphone off, then one headphone's off, and then looking, and then finally, and then my chair's turned around, right?
Now you're like, Christina, Randy, keep it down.
Yeah.
RuPaul is trying to tell us something.
Right, and then you get into it. You get into the people's stories. You get into how funny people are, but just like wrestling, you get enraptured into these characters and their performances that they're doing, right? Because they're entertainers, and they're people that are willing to die for their craft, which I also think is interesting. Wrestlers put their bodies on the line, and drag superstars sometimes have very rough lives they had to live to live their dreams, right?
To take ownership of that expression.
Right, exactly. Yeah. The artistic expression, right? And a lot of it is art, right? Like I see there's like when there's like a person that I'm like, oh, that's I like what they're doing, and then there's somebody that's really avant-garde, really strange, character-based things. I'm like, that's weird. I don't like that. And then I'm like, wow, this is just like when like art, right? Like there's some art you like, there's some art you don't like. There's some wrestling that you like, there's some wrestling that you don't like.
I was actually into WCW and WWF, so there's no wrestling I didn't like.
Oh, okay, back in the day, yeah, both. I was a big WWF guy, never really got into WCW.
No, but because I would watch Sting and Goldberg, but also the WWF.
Hell yeah.
I do find myself
WCW was
liking all kinds.
Much bigger than WWF for a couple years. And then they shat the bed, didn't know how to handle our success. And
they were liberals, so they're used to losing. Vince McMahon came in. Let me just take this market share here. I got no problem stealing this from you.
Fuck, dude. Him in the Battle of the Billionaires,
Something else.
Wow. Yeah.
Something else. We're not going to talk about a certain 45th president that may or may not have been on a WrestleMania.
I was just hinting at Battle of the Billionaires, and I regretted saying it. I was like, fuck, broke a rule.
Again, how the media is all tied together.
Yeah.
Yeah. To form this web of influence. Vince McMahon influence.
Absolutely. I mean, money talks, right? Bullshit walks, and that dude's got some money. He did this.
Can I call you Matthew McMahon from now on? Is that possible?
Sure. That's
Can we
fine.
pretend that you're Vince McMahon's
long lost son,
love child? Yeah.
There was an angle where they did that, and it ended up being
I remember that.
Hornswoggle. It was the little, they had the leprechaun, little person.
Okay, I don't know.
And then
I thought you were.
Then they said that was Vince McMahon's son. Yeah. It was because there was an angle where it was like, who is Vince McMahon's long lost son?
What year and or reality?
It was like
are you speaking
2000.
from?
It was like mid 2000s, and they had this guy, Mr. Kennedy, who was a big time guy, but I can't remember why. But he ended up getting fired. He was supposed to be the big payoff for the angle.
Ted DiBiase probably wanted him to go.
Oh,
Million
Ted
Dollar
DiBiase
Man
Jr.
probably wanted him to go.
Ted DiBiase Jr. was there, the $1 Million Man's son.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was.
Oh my God!
He had a tag team with Cody Rhodes.
Come up with a fresh fucking idea.
Do you remember Dusty Rhodes in WCW?
Yes.
Yeah. So Cody Rhodes' son, they had a team called Legacy, and it was like the legacy of their fathers. Whatever. But anyways, the wrestler got fired and then they didn't know what to do, so they turned the sun angle into being Hornswoggle, which was very silly.
Okay. I still can't get over how there's not only dynasties with like the New England Patriots. Now there's like Dusty Rhodes' son, Ted DiBiase's
who now has started AEW wrestling, which is now basically like the new WCW alternative.
So it'd be like if George W. Bush had actually started a new America, as opposed to just trying to become president.
It was like while he was president, he basically like his term ended. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go and start this whole new country. That's gonna do it my way because
he
the way you guys
did
were
with
doing,
the Patriot Act. Little did he know, that stupid motherfucker, that he would be starting a new country.
He had no idea.
But, you know, pawns gonna be pawns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Puppets gonna be puppets.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be bringing this up on a beautiful summer night like this. All these lightning bugs.
The lightning bugs.
The sheer lightning bugs of the situation.
I love the orange light. I love how it's still that faint little blue. This is perfect. I haven't been in the city like this in a very long time, and it feels like there's like a little empty hole in me that's like filling up again, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like I want to go to some like 4 a.m. bars tonight, you know, like I haven't done in a long time.
Okay, so we're shooting another podcast. I hear you loud and clear, and clear.
You know, you don't know what you got till it's gone, right? So when you have the kids and you move to the suburbs like my dumb self did, and you don't really realizing it's happening to you, that you're like, you're never going to be back to the city. There was a time.
You can come back. What
when
the fuck
I
are
moved
you
out,
talking about?
we moved out
Once
to
we're
like.
filming these daily, you gotta move,
right.
be my next door neighbor, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be really cool.
Come on.
I wouldn't mind moving in that house over there.
We're gonna work this out.
Yes.
Give it time.
Oh, that'd be so cool, right? Like, now that's the new dream, right? Like, because then we just back and forth.
I'll move to Park. That's not gonna happen.
But then we could set a podcast network. We could have like our kids on podcasts. We can have like shoot content. Like my daughter loves like YouTube content, right? Like all these little YouTube stars. We can make her a YouTube star. She knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, she's getting in bed by 7:30 though. We gotta have the shift over by probably 6:30.
If we monetize my daughter, she does not have to have a bedtime. Terrible.
All right, time for daddy's nap.
Yeah.
Time for daddy's. Now it's gonna be you like taking a nap at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
While she has like stage lights on her.
She's just tap dancing and she's sweating.
Someone's powdering her
Keep
nose.
Keep it going, girl. You know. Daddy needs a Ferrari.
Dance for daddy. Dance for daddy.
Yeah, those. Ugh.
So you don't want to be a stage dad?
Some of that makes me like, I joke, but then inside I'm like visibly cringing. I'm like,
no, but dude, if you have a podcast with your children in their formative years, I mean, they're gonna say,
it would
I
be
want a
interesting.
podcast too. They're gonna look at your podcast, likely years worth of it.
You think so? I don't know.
I mean, I know so, because I'm gonna make you be on this podcast with me for fucking years.
You literally just wanted me to move next door to you, so I think you're long-term thinking this.
I am guaranteeing your children will be looking at these. By the way, oh my God, this is gonna get like super dark. Like you're not even gonna be able to make us out. I think at the end.
I think I have the light behind me.
You do. Which is okay.
I'll be okay. So I'm the light and you are the dark.
Okay, we can do that. Also, I can just put you in post. We can just do. I'll just CGI. I'll deep fake your face.
Do you want me to? Do you want me to just? I'll get my phone light and just shine it behind your back, or you can put it up your face. This might be kind of interesting towards the end of it.
No, this is the first one we're doing as it progresses tonight. We're testing the cameras. We're testing.
Eventually, we'll just get 2 big floodlights, and then when it hits it, we'll just hit the button, and it'll be like, "Goof," and they'll just be like, "There you go."
I'm gonna have everything set up on a button before long.
But we still need a button, and then we need a Foley board. I mean, when are we gonna get that sound effect board?
Yeah.
Ay, Chihuahua. Weird, silly ones.
Can I ask you, when it's night like this though?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful Park Ridge and/or Chicago night. If you get to beds in 7:30, will you like hang out outside with Randy?
Sometimes.
Do you ever do like the outdoor bottle of white wine? Switch to white wine for the yard.
She likes her red. You know what we do sometimes is what we'll do when we put the kids to sleep is we'll do like a little House of Cards action and share a cigarette with each other.
Get the fuck
I swear to God.
That's amazing.
That's how we started hanging out. Like when we first started hanging out back in the day.
Action.
I thought of it the other day because we were just
because you were vying for a seat in the U.S. Congress. You were vying for Speaker of the House.
I'm a political monster. Yes. So we were I was bumming cigarettes from my dad actually, and so I'd bring them home, and then she'd have them. She's like, "Well, do you want to share with me?" So we kind of got in a little habit of doing it and sharing it. And then one day I was like, "Wow, this is just like House of Cards." But it's funny I made that connection. But when we started getting together, that was what we'd do. We'd sit on the porch on Chicago nights, and we'd sit and we'd smoke menthol cigarettes, and we would just talk, like on the porch of our house when we lived on Ohio.
Yeah.
Like that was what we would do. We would just sit on the porch and smoke cigarettes. And now it's like we've taken it to our house that we own, you know, and like we're now on the porch smoking cigarettes.
It's like, wait a minute, we could suck on cancer sticks, but we could also make human life.
Right. It's come full circle.
We could
It's really come
raise
full
2
circle.
children. We could
Yeah.
create life as opposed to destroying our own. No hate to cigarettes. Honestly, I love those excuses you have to sit outside with someone,
Yeah.
share a moment.
I mean, we're not puffing away to pack, but it's just like a nice little thing to share together and chat. Ooh, see, and it creates fireworks in the air between us still after all these years. You know, like.
Matt's ready to vamp, ready to
Yeah.
take the lightning bugs. We got some lightning bugs here. We got fireworks in the air.
Lightning bugs, fireworks, you know.
Just everything we can see and hear.
I'm not usually that quick, but this podcast just makes the neurons just fire, you know?
like a cigarette after a long day. Or so I'm told.
But do you guys come out here? You guys got a nice backyard. You guys got to
We
come
do.
out here and sit with a bottle of wine,
We
you know?
do not enough. We never drink. It's never
No.
for drinking.
Yeah.
I
Same.
said my favorite moments of like 2019 were coming out here after doing some yard work. Maybe after being at work, we'd like sit and have like a LaCroix in the yard.
Yeah.
Drinking something. So I want to make that
Yeah,
distinction. Maybe
sipping on
not
it.
getting sloshed, but just having like
A nice
a
little...
drink you paid for or a drink you got for yourself.
Yeah.
Yesterday, actually, we sat down and had dinner outside, which is fantastic.
Nice.
Fucking 10 out of 10, of course. Perfect weather for it this time of year. Fireworks, just like you just heard.
Yeah.
You know, same sort of emotional.
Really a banger of a dinner.
reverberance. No, but I wanted a cocktail, so I had like club soda. I got lemon. I was just gonna have like lemon club soda,
Mhm.
some ice.
Mm.
But then I'm like, I gotta put some whiskey in this
A little
thing. I don't know,
bit.
This seems ridiculous. I'm gonna go through all this trouble.
I'm an adult man. I need my whiskey. No,
But it's not about that. It's not about the cigarette. It's not
No,
about the whiskey.
no,
but to have
no.
the moment.
Yes,
you know,
it is.
To encapsulate the moment. I mean, that's why I fucking am obsessed with podcasting. Is you're creating a moment. This is like the
Capturing
audio-visual
moments.
cigarette
Yeah.
of the next generation. You know,
This is.
we
I
don't
mean,
smoke anymore, so we gotta go outside
Yeah.
with a camera. It's like the new thing.
This is still an addiction. Don't get yourself twisted. I still, you know what I mean? There's an element of that to this, you know.
Yeah.
I get joy. I don't light it up. I mean, you know, but
There's gotta be. I love excuses. The one thing I want to do with Shavana more is take walks. I've been bad
we do that a lot.
taking walks.
We've been taking
Corona's fucked me up, man. I just never want to take walks now. It
But
sucks.
You know, you know,
I feel like I'm making someone else sick, or not that someone else is gonna get me sick,
No.
but I don't feel as comfortable.
it's
I know it's ridiculous. I can see how it's ridiculous.
It's not though. It's not. You're just being conscientious, man. You're not.
Unlike the
it's
banging in the background, like the fireworks going
unlike
off.
those fucking assholes. We're shooting over here. You know, no, but you're just being conscientious. You know what I mean? You know, you're a person that cares about your community. You care about the people in your community, and you don't want to be responsible for putting them in a bad position. You know, so it's not necessarily that you know, like this is I don't know. You know, like you should. You know, I sometimes feel guilty, right, when I take the kids for a walk because we just have to get out of the house, frankly. We got to get the fuck out of the house. But, like, you know, it's not like we wear masks for our walks. So when you pass people, you know, there's definitely a new sense.
What would you do if you found yourself in a trial where they're looking at this footage? Like, as you can see, Your Honor,
This fucker was not wearing a mask. He was
Matthew
walking
did
next to
not
me.
wear a mask, as stated in podcast 28.
Ooh,
No, but
wow. That
But-
would be
but-
a real...
no, but I'm not trying to freak you out. I'm not trying to make it.
No,
seem
no.
like you're
I just started going down the rabbit hole of like, wow, could this podcast be used against me in a court of law? I mean, it could be, right?
It can be.
I just can't admit to any wrongdoing.
No, everything. I mean, just so it's clear now and for any future lawsuits, allegedly, we've allegedly done and said everything we've
Yeah.
said.
This is as we've just talked about, this is a performance.
We can also call this alleged lightning bugs. We'll call this
I like
episode
that.
alleged lightning bugs.
The next, the next generation. Hashtag summer nights in Chicago.
But you're walking outside with your kids, no masks.
Oh yeah, you know, there's just a new form of walking where you see somebody coming in the right way and either you stop or maybe they stop and then you guys cross on opposite sides. You know, I've been doing that a lot where I'll see like a family coming and I'll just cross on the other side of the street just so it's like, okay. And then, you know, people are grateful. So you give like a wave or like a nod. You get a lot of that because people are cooped up, right? So you want to, you know, it's nice to have a neighborly feeling with somebody as you're passing them in the neighborhood, right?
Remind the humanity.
Yes, yeah. Oh, you're alive, I'm alive. We're all still here in this crazy world, right?
Keep the
Nod.
societal thread.
You know, right? Like, it's weird how much you can get into nod from another person, like surviving, right? Amen. You know, like it's crazy. But you know, like I said, I gotta get outside a little bit. You know, I gotta take the kids for walks. You know, the yard we have isn't a big yard, you know, and it's kind of by a busy street, so I don't really like to have the kids out because I'm always watching them on the street, right?
Yeah.
So it's the walks have been a godsend, and sometimes we'll take really long ones, and then everyone gets tired, and we come back, it's nice and chill. You know what I mean? I've been liking it. Don't be afraid. If you feel like you should, I mean, just like
if you say,
I'm telling you, I know it won't fucking matter. He's not gonna listen to me, but I'm just saying, you know, just fine. You want to wear a mask? Wear a mask. People do it. I've seen people with masks wearing it. It's just for me wrangling my kids to wear masks. It's just not gonna happen, you know. And I'm like, I don't see that many people on my walks. Here it's different. I've watched the thoroughfare here, and there's people walking, and you know, there's a lot of people walking around the neighborhood.
Traffic's definitely heavier.
You know, I don't know. It's personal choice, I guess.
It's good we're talking about Corona a little bit more. We haven't talked about Corona as much in the last few episodes.
No.
It has come up.
Yeah, it's come up, but I think
it's funny how it's becoming this new layer of our reality now.
The predictive programming that everybody's like, the new normal. But it is. We're getting used to having a new, you know,
I prefer
flu virus thing, you know?
I prefer Brave New World.
Brave New World? Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
That's funny. That's funny. I wish it was brave and new.
How we're going to, wide brushstroke paint over this entire situation.
No,
different. Life is different.
I think we're losing interest because the national conversation is also like, let's hide this. Let's not talk about this as much as we were.
Let's talk about that a little. What the fuck is with that? Is it just people's short attention spans being like, yo, I cannot focus on this anymore. I can't keep caring about this. Is it an actual partisan political thing where people who are watching Fox News are being given the signal to get out of their house and to actually freedom fight and to go out there, and that it's become this political thing now where you actually have to take more risk if you're trying to assert yourself as a individual without being locked down in society?
I will answer, but I want to hear your answer to this too. I think it's multifaceted. I think you have an
Don't cop out on me.
I think you have an administration.
What's driving this?
I think you have an administration that wants to sweep it under the rug, that doesn't want this to be a thing anymore because they bungled the handling of it. I think you have a news media that makes it exhaustive to listen to when it's constantly like drumming, like, you know, people want to turn that off, right? I think also there is a large anti-science bias going on in this country right now. And I think you have a perfect storm for people to be like, oh, it's a hoax. I think it's really interesting, too, that there's people in my life that were very serious and gung-ho about it that now have completely done a 180 and are like, it was a hoax. This isn't a big deal. And, you're overreacting and yada, yada, yada.
That connected to a lot of people that are saying it's a hoax. So I am interested in that perspective.
Well, there's a friend of my family's, and I
want to know how it survives, because obviously the virus isn't a hoax. The thing that this person's trying to express maybe is that the death prevalence was a hoax.
Right.
That we were overreacting.
This is back to what I was trying to say earlier, that maybe the science we didn't know, so we assumed based on the data that we had at hand, and now the data is shifting and changing, and so now we're learning more about it. And I feel like people are like, well, you guys were all liars. But it's not like we were lying. We're using the new information that we have at hand to better further our planning and our processes, right?
Yeah, when you do a good version of this too, it seems like you didn't do anything.
Right. That's, oh my God, I keep thinking of that. Right.
I think a lot of it is that. I think it's just needing instant gratification. Being like, well, I've stayed home, so I have saved lives. I'm now going to be looking at the airplane schedule for July. I think there are people that are just definitely like that. Yeah. I hate to be callous, but like in the way I hear anchors talking about it, the way I see some people talking about it, it kind of seems like it is the fixation on the death prevalence thing, maybe even seeing what populations it's hitting older people of color. It's fucked up, but I think people are just getting colder and callous now.
I think it's too much. You're getting too much. It's like, and then eventually the numbers went from 10s and 20s, which, that's a lot. Now it's those big numbers, 100,000. You can't visualize 100,000 people dead. That's just a big number, right?
And you can visualize Tom Hanks with COVID, but you can't imagine 100,000 people dead of it.
Right. It's
going back to that thing, making it personal. Apologizing for stealing something, you got to make it personal.
Absolutely. When you lose somebody in your life to COVID, and you experience it, it's like, oh, that shit was real.
Any interest in making predictions moving forward?
Man, I don't know. I'm predicting that there will be a second wave in the fall. I'm hoping that it's not I'm hoping that it won't be as serious, like it's just a little bump and uptick. But I have a feeling with the way that this was bungled from the beginning, and the mixed messages about things like masks and proper procedures that people are doing, I think we're in for it. I think it's not going away. I don't think it's going to be like, people are saying like, oh well, in September and October, things will be back. No, man, this isn't going to be back to like another year. 2021, like we're going to be dealing with this for a while.
I was just talking to my sister because she's renting super expensive office space downtown, and she wants to keep it. She has her own law firm,
right?
And she's getting the wheels turning on this thing. She cares about it deeply, committed. Obviously, wants a professional place to be meeting clients, whatnot downtown. But it's a gigantic expense, and with the length of the leases, you have to think, what am I going to do in terms of 1 year lease?
Right. All right, guys. It's been 1 hour. That scared me.
When the vaccine itself is likely like an hour away. No, the vaccine itself is like 12 to 18 months away, according to the numbers.
At least.
Why are you signing a 1 year lease if we might not be able to live for another year?
And you're going to be doing Zoom calls.
Maybe
and why not wait a year?
Hers is related specific on courts in the state. And now I guess they're going to switch rules and maybe let people do like court stuff that you had to be in person for via Zoom.
Yeah.
And her whole industry is about to shift, where she probably no longer maybe needs the same square footage downtown.
Or how about how less expensive is that place going to be in a year when nobody's buying all these properties? And then it's like, okay, well, now you're ready for it. And now it's like, well, it's half of what you paid for it because, now everyone's going away from that, right?
Yeah, once Zoom B&B takes over.
I mean,
everyone stays home, never leaves their house.
When you realize that, like, oh man, I can do all these things from home. I don't have to go out. I don't have to take these long plane rides. I don't have to. I could just sit at home and do this, and it's just as good.
That's why I've recorded 28 episodes of the podcast at
here
home.
at the hacienda, right?
That's why I've done 28 episodes at home.
Man.
Well, the cameras are already extremely dark at this
I know.
point.
That's why I was like, well, I could keep going, but honestly...
I could keep going, too. But, yeah, we should cut it just to make sure it's not pitch black here.
It's pitch black. Well, I know I'm lit well. I'm lit very well. No, it's going to be weird. It's just going to be this light. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be one of our best ones, and nobody's going to... I can't see shit!
It's probably, again, it could be like one of those things, too, where, like, the focus is searching or popping off because it's like, we can't see your face anymore.
Basically,
and so I'm like, damn, I should have switched it to manual or this and that.
The next generation is a failure. That's what we're saying. It started off with a bang.
No.
Oh, I was hoping for fireworks, but it didn't.
It would have been good timing. Next generation's at least harder than you think. I'll say that.
Well, might not be the next generation, but this was a very beautiful Chicago summer night. So,
beautiful Chicago summer nights. Even with the alleged lightning bugs. Alleged good times, alleged discussion.
Yeah, this was all a performance. None of this was real. This is we were actually actors.
A performance.
We just pull our masks off.
Welcome and goodbye to this John Malkovich-based performance. Have you been watching Space Force?
No. Is it good? You like it?
John Malkovich is in it.
I like him a lot, right? And I like Steve Carell, and I like oh my God,
Greg Daniels.
I like
Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. That was who I was gonna say.
Lisa Kudrow.
I like Lisa Kudrow. I like.
Oh, I'm supposed to keep going?
Yeah, come on, dude. No, that was it. Those were literally the 4 people I were gonna say.
Fred Willard, the guy who just passed.
Fred Armisian. No, Fred
Armisian.
Fred
Willard is the Best in Show guy that just passed away.
No, yeah, but is he in Space Force?
Oh, he is. Yeah, it's like one of his last things.
Oh, then I'm definitely gonna watch it because he was one of my favorite guys.
And he's like a senile old man too.
Perfect.
It's kind of beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah. Which I'm glad.
Does he steal every scene like he always does? Does he just come in and it's just hilarious?
I haven't seen them all yet, but I've been laughing.
Yeah. He was my favorite. I'll never forget watching Best in Show for the first time and watching him as the announcer and crying laughing at him. Like I was in tears, my stomach hurt, and he just was so fucking funny.
Allegedly laughing.
Allegedly laughing. That's not really a true story. But any hoozle. Yeah.
We'll have to end on that laugh.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Mr. Willard. Thank you for bringing us some more joy. Thank God Space Force got to end on a high note with them.
Yeah, I guess I have to check it out.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you for the 29th.
Bang.
Bang, 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 bang.
Grand finale.